Joining me now is Florida Congressman Mike Haridopolos. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. How would you assess the situation in Washington?
Well, I've been here for about 6 months, and the crime is real. Unfortunately, we're reading about all kinds of horrific acts, whether it be the two people killed outside the Israeli palace or the situation recently with the intern that was killed, of course, the Doge employee that was beaten up on the street. There's rampant crime in Washington, D.C., and the first responsibility of government is to protect your life, liberty, and property. And that's simply not happening because they're not prosecuting these crimes to the fullest, and it's something we need to do. You talked about it just a minute ago, the horrific murder rates here in Washington, D.C., in comparison to places like Bogota, Colombia. I mean, this is just common sense law enforcement. But most importantly, when people get arrested, they need to go to jail. Only 1% of gun crimes actually go to jail. If you want gun laws, you need to enforce the law.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's a great point that you make. And this is our opening salvo for America. This is our city of government. We should be able to feel safe in Washington, D.C., if anywhere. Meanwhile, I want to get your take on this. The U.S. is fast-tracking plans to build a nuclear reactor on the moon to outpace Russia and China in the space race. We've been reporting on space for years on this program, and I've got a new Fox Nation special which is out this week. It's called The Enemy Above. It addresses the importance of space. Watch this.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
No nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space.
The space race that defined the Cold War ended decisively.
We won, and we decided to rest on our laurels.
Now, the American space program that gave us Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, men on the moon, and the shuttle program is at a crossroads.
America has been running a dangerous experiment for the last 15 years.
And now we see threats growing in space.
You can tune into my new Fox Nation special, The Enemy Above, out tomorrow. Congressman, you chair the House Space Subcommittee, and you say the moon is the next frontier. Most people don't realize why space is so important. I understand now. That's where our satellites are. Tell us about the moon and why it's the next frontier.
Well, it's absolutely the next frontier. This is not a vanity project. This is national security. It is absolutely essential that we control the heavens above because it is the ultimate high ground, and it also makes sure that we have the GPS technology so our men and women in uniform know exactly where the enemy is and where they put the persons of law in place. And so with this reality, he does win the space race because the Chinese are catching up fast. Fortunately, we have made a huge investment in the big, beautiful bill, an additional $10 billion for NASA. But we want to make sure we control the heavens because when you control the heavens, you have that high ground. You make sure their troops are in place. And the Chinese, as you know, steal technology left and right. Can you imagine if they got a foothold on the moon? That's why it's so important that Secretary Duffy, who's leading NASA at this point, of course, Brian Babin, our chairman here in the House Science Committee, is leading this charge to make sure we beat the communists again and make sure that we win this space race for national security. I'm so glad you're focusing on an issue that's vitally important to our national survival.
Well, it really is part of the national defense infrastructure. And I wonder your thoughts on the satellites in space. Do you think that they are in jeopardy from adversaries?
Yes, they are. They have devices already tested by the Chinese and the Russians that can knock down satellites. You knock down satellites, you go back to World War II technology, and that's not to our advantage. The Chinese are doing all types of nefarious things in space, including colliding different things in space, potential use of new technologies. It's unacceptable, and it's why the president is so pro-space. You remember, he talked about this in his inaugural address, and he also created the Space Force. He is fully committed to make sure we defeat the communists once again, control space in a dominant way.
And of course, we spoke with General Whiting, the chairman of the U.S. Space Force, in this program. He is a essential part of the enemy above, so I hope our viewers will join us. Let me switch gears and ask you about crypto. The president is keeping up this promise to make the U.S. the world's crypto capital. It includes passing landmark legislation like the Genius Act, but the Clarity Act is held up in the Senate now while lawmakers are on recess. Congressman, when can we expect action on the remaining crypto legislation?
Well, I think it's imperative, Maria. You know the issue very well. And as you know, we got the first part that called stablecoin. Clarity is even more important because that's the regulatory structure that's essential to make sure all of that capital comes here to the United States of America. French Hill, the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, has been our champion on this issue, working with Tom Emmer, who's making sure that CBDC never happens, central bank digital currency like they have in China. It's essential we pass clarity because people who invest want to know they're being regulated in a smart way. Gensler, who led the SEC in the Biden administration, was a disaster. He offered no clarity to investors. This new legislation will, and I'm confident that the Senate will work with the House, get this done, and make the United States of America the crypto capital of the world.
All right. We'll be watching all of that and your work. Congressman, good to see you, sir. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria. Have a great morning.
And to you, Mike Haridopolos joining us. Quick break.